We are going to steal
Pause for effect.
the moon!
What's up, guys? Dan the Moon Man here, platinuming this game, Deliver Us the Moon. Because even though it's not leaving the service, its sequel, Deliver Us Mars, is. And because the games have a huge focus on their story, it would feel wrong to play the sequel first. So let's get into it. Obviously, full spoilers ahead, and make sure to also follow the guide from True Trophies, link in the description. The game is set in a dystopian future not very far off from our own. Humanity, as usual, sucks, and has ruined the Earth. A solution was found thanks to a certain scientist, Isaac, and thanks to a lunar mine along with a super cool sci-fi mazer that can transfer energy from mining the moon rocks, allows Earth to subsist, while a better solution is theoretically worked on. However, something goes wrong. The moon has stopped sending power to the Earth, and for 5 years a group has worked in secret to spend what few resources they had left to arm a rocket ship to send a single engineer to the moon to see if the single engineer can fix it. Granted, it seems like more like a sudden storm caused only one to be able to go, but still. Naturally, you are introduced to the light platforming and puzzle solving, the bread and butter of this game, along with lore objects to read and scan. You'll get some easy trophies for the first scan, first audio log, and the first full page in the dossier, and some miscellaneous trophies like reaching the rocket's ladder with less than 4 seconds on the clock, failing the launch sequence 5 times, and one more for completing the chapter. Then you realize you forgot to spin the globe in the office, so you gotta go back and spin it. Also, whenever you find the comics, make sure you hit square to read them. Just picking them up isn't enough to count towards their trophies. Now, working on Chapter 2. First things first. When you get to an air-limited section, get in front of an O2 canister, wait until you have 1 second of air, then pick it up. Once the air is back on, go explore for a bit, making sure to use the telescope, and wait until the magical bear in orbit passes by for the trophy. Hi, Moon Bear. Why are you alone in orbit? What happened here? And so we say goodbye.
Goodbye, Moon Man.
We say goodbye.
You say goodbye, Moon Man.
Bye, Moon Bear.
Shut the fuck up about Moon Men!
Proceeding on, we get to the room with a large console and the floating orange chairs. Make sure to push one of these chairs close to the airlock and take it outside with you for a trophy. Once we try to establish power to the station, as expected, something goes wrong, we get ejected into space and have to make our way back before the suit's air runs out. We make it back and head into Chapter 3, down on the surface of the moon. Here we will witness the first of the new collectibles, the holograms. These will play out when you find them and contextualize new events, although I suspect they're also done so that the developers don't actually have to model any of the other characters. Instead, we just see vaguely human shapes with a defining characteristic like glasses or something. We'll then spend some time putting our new friend back together. This new friend is ASE, a robot drone that can help open doors and play holograms. Apparently, it's customary to give these nicknames. The writer of the guide I was following called his Sphericus III. As for mine, I usually suck at nicknames, so say hi to Wally. Yes, I know I'm unoriginal. Let's move on. Soon, after more scanning and collecting, 3 dossiers will be completed for another trophy. Now comes a tricky one. There are rogue ASE units, and for this part in particular, we need to not take any damage from the ASE units discharging streams of electricity. Once we do it without damage, after several resets, we get the trophy, not a scratch. Then we get to a very fun section to play, but a very annoying section for trophies. We gain access to a 6-wheeled moon rover. That's right, moon drifts, people. Moon drifts. We can find the original moon landing equipment for another trophy, and realign both dishes for another trophy. Now comes the annoying trophy, Stargazer. This requires spending 30 minutes outside of the moon base, meaning goofing off with moon drifts for a long while, then getting bored and making dinner or something. Once that's done, we can continue to restore the monorail to end the chapter. On to number 4. This chapter is very short, just a few collectibles and some more story about what's going on. Seems like everything was caused thanks to this freako, MacArthur, who shut everything down, sabotaged equipment, and coerced people to follow the outward protocol. But at least Sarah seems alive. At this point, I'm nearly certain that our player character is Claire, the daughter of Isaac, who came to the moon to find her younger sister Kate, who was taken to the moon in order to not live on the hell that is Earth and possibly find her father, the savior of humanity. Back to the monorail to get to the crater. Chapter 5 opens predictably, with another near-death experience. Survive the QTEs, and then we can eventually get to the annoying thing of this chapter, the fact that we gotta take a dead power cell with us throughout the chapter. So, we make our way through so that we can restore power and get to the reactor. Once we power up the second tower, our power cell buddy, nearly perfect cell, gets crushed by the tower. Upon leaving towards the reactor, we'll get the trophies for completing 7 dossier flyers and the Chapter 5 completion trophy. Time for the final chapter. Chapter 6, The Reactor. Full of puzzles and more life-threatening situations, and also a pair of rubber ducks. We'll get all of the remaining collectibles here, scans, audio logs, and holograms. We make sure to find both rubber ducks and move on to the climax. We start to fire up the reactor, and have to make our way out while doing some platforming, also making sure to not take damage from the reactor's pulses for another trophy. Then, with another console blowing up and heavily injuring us, we proceed to the most annoying part of the game, fighting to establish the link with the power link to Earth. This took me like 5 tries because Rolf can't properly aim due to the injuries. Yeah, it turns out the Claire thing was a misleader. The whole time we've been playing as Rolf, who had to previously abandon Sarah due to the sabotage of MacArthur. Sarah was attacked by Isaac and thought dead. Until Wally shows us one last hologram. Sarah was alive. So we muster our strength to find one lone cryopod that confirms Sarah is alive. Rolf collapses and the final trophies pop, where, after an indeterminate amount of time passes, Claire arrives. Now, the platinum didn't pop for me here, as apparently the comic I collected in Chapter 2 didn't count. So once I went back and got that, I got the platinum. Overall, I enjoyed my time with this game. There's this prevailing sense of dread, the knowledge that Murphy's Law is in full effect, and the puzzles aren't totally insane or logic-defying. The feeling that our character is the Moon Man from the comics is great. Although I was pretty sure that we were playing as Claire and not Rolf, so I was a bit surprised over that. The game kinda feels like Dead Space if you remove the necromorphs. The story was intriguing, it handled well, and could be a bit cheap with its trophies. The only one that really bothered me was Stargazer, seeing as how that one takes you a full 30 minutes. Overall, it felt like the game respected your intelligence, and was a pretty good time overall. Getting the trophies is basically just making sure you don't miss the collectibles, which can be minorly annoying, but Chapter Select lets you choose to replay any of the chapters for the ones in order to collect the collectibles you may have missed. I'd have to say that the Platinum is a 2 out of 10, mainly due to the annoyance of some of the collectible trackings, while on the patented Dan the Ranking Man scale, it's a 75 out of 100. There were some minor glitches, and I'm not happy that there was a trophy that outright required a full 30 minutes, with about 20 minutes of that being dead time, although trying to flip the moon rover was enjoyable. So go enjoy it. It's not going anywhere, although I can't say the same about its sequel, Deliver Us Mars. So, until next time, like and subscribe, and remember, only losers don't nickname the ASE companion. Even that monumental douche MacArthur nicknamed his.